doing a journey. That means I'm going to be entering an altered state, and we are going to go visit a fourth or fifth dimensional structure where these are not incarnate beings, these are souls close to planet Earth with a particular inspiration to create pain and suffering on the planet. Whether that's on purpose or by accident, oops. We're going to go there, put these blinders on, and we're not just going to take a look. My goal is to dismantle these spaces. Obviously, this could be quite vast, and I don't always know how I step out into the universe. I don't always know how the universe is going to echo the pathway back. So we'll just start from the beginning, okay? All you have to do is relax, receive. There'll be quite a lot here to reflect upon. It's not just me stepping in doing this, it's also you. We're not so far apart. We are all here with a common goal to create a beautiful life on planet Earth. And on my human level, feel like someone's got to do something. It's my destiny, then my calling to sit here today and begin from somewhere. So let's begin. All right, with all confidence, I'm stepping out into the universe here. I've got this key of curiosity, ready to open the door of perspective. And my focal point is show me a fourth dimension, fifth dimension, whatever words define this type of space, where there is a divine time for the space to be dismantled and for influential imbalance that is affecting day to day human life. Whether you want to say it's evil draconian race, you want to say it's just evil spirits that are lingering in the astral plane, however you want to say it, we'll be on the same page. It is my destiny to be introduced to the path and to reach those frequencies that are, it's time for them to be seen, it's time for them to be faced, transformed, and for us to all learn together about it, okay? Okay, so we're gonna pause because I gotta wait for the information to reveal itself. Just give me a moment here. I'm definitely in an experience. There's this, it's almost like a type of earwax that's built up, and it's primarily built up on this wall here to my right. And yes, there's a narrow path. It's very strange looking in here. And it is a green metal that everything's made out of. It seems aged. And here on this left side, I want to say there's some kind of botanical growth. But this hardened earwax here on the right side, botanical growth here on the left side, sort of filling in now this narrow path, and I'm just going down this pathway. This is a tunnel shape. I start to pick up on all these echoes that say, you're not supposed to be here. What are you doing here? Why are you here? But I just send these echoes away because I'm not necessarily convinced that there's really any depth here to their existence, their point of existence, almost like to speak to one's ego. Like, of course, I would be in a place that there would be those who would say, oh, how did you get in here? And that I would be the last person that they would want to see because they would know that their time is up. It's too easy. Because their time is up. One of the things I'm noticing, and I'm talking to my spirit guides about it, is that the first layer that has to be broken down is almost like a wall that's been built up around me. That I gotta break this wall down. And I'm touching, my hands are basically touching all sides of this. And I could just expand my consciousness and be in the shape of this infinite tunnel. It's like it could go forever in every direction, like forward, backward, forever and ever. Like you think you're going somewhere, but you're going nowhere. It's a trick. It's like in the Matrix, we're in that weird train stations, underground subway. You're just never gonna really go anywhere. That's what this place is. It's the idea that you could go somewhere, but you will go nowhere. So if I'm touching it with my soul, what's the shape of my soul? It's any shape. So if it's a sphere, where are my hands? Everywhere. So I place my hands upon this shape of this space, which is a wall built up around myself that I no longer need. As soon as I do this, I notice that I've somehow imploded and I'm, what is now external now is internal. And I'm somewhere between inside and then the structure of myself. And then outside myself, there's this major glitch of reality. But I choose to embrace one viewpoint, which is the one that got sucked in to my heart. And there's this black frequency. It's just almost like suspended in time. Like let's say you struck black gold, and it's just coming up and out of the ground, it's a splatter of black, okay? But it's frozen in time. Like something struck my heart and then there's this black energy that's just frozen in time. It looks liquidy. I notice there's someone standing behind me as I'm investigating this in a space within my own heart. And this is very hard to describe face, body. It's almost like the nose is a bulbous and then the chin. So it's hard to say where the mouth is. And it all seems to have very short, like whiskers, like all over this, even on the nose section. It's just all over this. It seems to even be on the top of the head. It's just like the hair just grows in these maybe quarter inch, very straight, almost prickly like a cactus. And it looks kind of like hair, and it just covers all of this except right here where the eyes are. This is fat, by the way, and the chin is fat. That there's a bone structure to the face and there's a bone structure to the body. And it does have arms and legs, but it's wearing a garment, so it doesn't really, arms, legs don't stand out, but I can see the concept of a body that walks like ours. I'm silently looking and blinking my eyes at this being because you don't have to always talk about stuff. Sometimes you just look and blink your eyes for a while in silence. This being isn't necessarily responding, moving, thinking, deciding, is just there like a fixture. And I go back to looking at this liquid and I say, what do I do about you? What am I supposed to do with you? What do I do with you? And I decide I'm going to use some tools and I'm going to fix this up. And I patch it up and it's like a leaky pipe. It's just everything disappears, but I know it's not fixed. And that this isn't really the right approach, but it's an approach. It'll do for now. I'm at least trying. And sometimes that's all that matters, to try. I just look at this being again who's still looking at me and I say, I'm going to try to say something to you, even if you don't try to say anything to me. I say, most anyone would want to know who you are, why you're there, what you're about. I, Abby, don't really want to know any of those things. And I just say that and I move my frequency into the floor. And I go into a rest phase. And I return to some part of me more at the surface. And I notice that I have this massive break in my chest, like my entire chest is like a broken spaceship. Like I'm human and mechanical and I'm broken at the heart. And I tell a layer of life force that I see you and I'm working on me and I will get to you. And what this looks like is there's okay, like Saturn has rings, right? Okay, and Saturn is a sphere. We have all these spheres. Find that very interesting. Rings and spheres, shapes make the world. The universe makes everything shapes and balanced shapes, right? And here, whether I'm in the imploded space, what you don't see is that the outline of it is actually circular and the tunnel is circular. And the internal, the external, all of it seems to come with a circular shape. Now, that's not always the case, by the way, but there's a circular shape here around me and this external, and I'm looking on the other side of the circle. And I see the presence of all these beings just standing here watching me. And I say, I'll get to you, or I'm going to be getting to you soon, working on this. I have no idea. Are they good? They not good? Like what their intention is. But I am aware of them there. And there's a part of my soul that it does feel like rage, but I know that's just the human part of my experience and how this experience of my soul translates through the fabric. Is my soul outraged, or is the meaning across time and space in all the bodies and the biological ways that we translate, it translates into rage. So my soul translates it or vibes it out. So let me help you understand. Okay, let's say grief, let's say powerlessness, and can also be grief. It can be um, enraging. What creates types of grief or what creates powerlessness can also create rage. And there's this sense that not a single soul on this planet should ever feel powerless. And yet I know it. I know how that feels. What would create powerlessness except a conflict with a controlling force? But sometimes we're not awakened in our perception of things to actually understand that there was no controlling force. So let's say you are a slave to a ruling family. You are powerless then to their control. They're deciding what to do with you. And what comes from that experience, if you can't find gratitude and peace with it, then will define itself as injustice, powerlessness, rage. Always have to be at peace with everything that happens. Now, your soul has enough experience with this, not just on the simplest level, that you're looking through the complex lens of many, many levels of reality and how realities come together to create this whole. It's bigger than you as a human being can wrap your head around. Hence, we have higher dimensional worlds where you're gifted an opportunity to see more of the bigger picture without having to actually be on planet Earth. And there's a lot of conversation across every soul and the stories every soul has to share. And there is something that goes even deeper and 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 even deeper. Goes back to where I was looking at Metatron and struggling with my relationship with Metatron because can I love Metatron for what Metatron might represent to me? That we are Metatron's creation. See, I'm challenging belief systems here. Doesn't matter if it's true or not. It's simply interesting. Okay. So if I'm a part of Metatron's creation, then I'm in the body of Metatron, who I see as extremely dark and extremely light, that hold the balance. The balance. Okay. The yin yang. So is shadow the darkness, the evil? Is light the illumination, the life, the goodness, right? Sometimes shadow is the light and the goodness, and sometimes light is ridiculously corrupt. It's messed up. So you can't determine what is good or not good based upon it's dark, what's light, because they both come together to create a whole experience. And the balance of dark and light, right? The centerpiece of it all is an exquisite place to be. But in the midst of all of that, how do you get to that exquisite place? You go through the framework of all of this, whether that's a human life or these other dimensions where you can watch human life and you can share your stories, listen to your stories. There's so many levels to this. It's unbelievable. Now, back to looking at Metatron and looking at Enoch, his son, which is the story of humanity, and looking at the story of humanity. And the story of humanity keeps going and going and going and going. And what is the history? There's a lot of pain here. It just feels like a never ending grinder. Like when I went to neutral God, and obviously I've explored neutral God a couple times in different ways. But initially, the vision was a neutral God was that what allowed all that is benevolent and all that is evil. Like it was the mortar to all this information. It was the one thing that held the structure of all reality together. But neutral, if I come across a neutral soul, which is extremely rare, neutral souls oftentimes create absolutely devastating nightmares. And it doesn't mean anything to a neutral soul. And the neutral soul will never, ever, ever, ever hear you. Like if you were to say, look at what you've done, does not, you can never get revenge properly. You can never show them themselves. You can't. All you have to do is trust in their process, whether you like it or not. They're going to attract souls that have actually become twisted but are not neutral. And they often don't attract benevolent souls unless those benevolent souls are seeking a real hard lesson. And you will never teach a neutral soul because they're neutral. So they're just like this weird anomaly. I still don't know much about them because I very, 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 very rarely ever come across them. Okay. I need to return to this process here in my heart. Because the rage that my soul is experiencing, it's already subsided now that I've had this conversation. Seems to me I just needed to talk about this. It doesn't have to be fixed. It just has to be experienced and then shared somehow. But I'm not the only one, right? That you could say on a human level, you could feel the pain, but on the soul, it's really branded into it's like this eyesight that sees something in between it all. And this horror show that exists in between it all that never has to apologize, it never has to serve time, it never has to stop. And there is a desire within the collective for this to stop, for new learning to continue. And I feel like I'm in my destiny where on a human level, these conversations about draconians and evil councils of like fourth and fifth dimensions and these facilities that basically farm or harvest, the low-key torture this aspect of your soul is constantly put through without you really noticing. You just notice you're just low-key, just like you're constantly having to conquer life and to acknowledge that you are alive and you are happy to be so at like all the time. You shouldn't have to remind yourself of it. You should just feel that way, right? I get vulnerable having these conversations because I don't give power to any of this stuff. Like I'm here to focus on what's going to bring out my strengths. And wherever attention goes, energy flows. That's absolutely true, what people say. And if my attention is going, then they have my attention. They're not worth my time and attention. But maybe they are. Maybe I need to wake up. Maybe I need to knock on their door. Maybe there is some calling because I can't force anything to be. Because the true love of the universe isn't controlling, it doesn't need to have it its way. The love of all is all about complete freedom to experience whatever sparks your interest. No judgment, unconditional love. And the opposing side is all the opposing. So, a world where you're truly free? I don't know. I mean, the trees are free, fish are free to eat each other, even. You know, like everything is free to be of its nature. And then humans are free to be of their nature, and they create structures in order to deal with human nature, in order to create harmony in a world of life and death that has its ways of going extremely this way or that way. But still, you live in the sense that something isn't right. And it's not a practical thing, it's just this sense. It's the whole conversation of Satan. Why would we even think of this if we didn't have some collective sense about a thing that we're trying to explain? And the best we can explain it is Satan. So there must be something to it. There must be something to a lot of these things that we're trying to explain in a world that doesn't want to hear it, a world that wants to mock you about it, a world that decided the one way it needs to be is the only way and it doesn't want to budge or move. It doesn't want to grow because it's afraid that what made it mean something is now dead. because new meaning always comes to life when there's growth. So if we control growth, then whoever controls growth then is all powerful. But whoever encourages a free experience, we are all. I'm going to continue this journey. That's what I'm going to share for now. Thank you for hanging out with me and exploring this with me. Feel free to share your thoughts. If I can support you in a session, I'd be honored to hear what your riddles are in your life, what you're curious about, what you want to look into. I'll go into an altered state and I'll look into it and I'll reflect back what I see. I'll translate the energy, I'll transform the energy to help you feel amazing inside. Seen, we'll figure it out. Book a session on my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. Have an awesome day, everybody.